Chapter 13. And Abram went up out of Egypt, he and his wife, and all that he had, and Lot with him, into the south. And Abram was very rich in cattle, and silver, and in gold. And he went on his journey from the south, even to Bethel, unto the place where his tent had been in the beginning, between Bethel and Ai, unto the place of the altar, which he had made there at the first. And Abram called there on the name of the Lord. And Lot also, who went with Abram, had flocks and herds and tents, and the land was not able to bear them, that they might dwell together. For their substance was great, so that they could not dwell together. And there was a strife between the herdmen of Abram's cattle and the herdmen of Lot's cattle. And the Canaanite and the Perizzite dwelt then in the land. And Abram said unto Lot, Let there be no strife, I pray you, between me and you, and between my herdmen and your herdmen, for we are brethren. Is not the whole land before you? Separate yourself, I pray you, from me. If you will take the left hand, then I will go to the right. Or if you will take the right hand, then I will go to the left. And Lot lifted up his eyes, and beheld all the plain of the Jordan, that it was well watered everywhere, before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, like the garden of the Lord, like the land of Egypt, as you goest unto Zoar. So Lot chose him all the plain of the Jordan, and Lot journeyed east, and they separated themselves, the one from the other. Abraham dwelt in the land of Canaan, and Lot dwelt in the cities of the plain, and moved his tent as far as Sodom. Now the men of Sodom were wicked and sinners against the Lord exceedingly. And the Lord said unto Abram, after that Lot was separated from him, Lift up now your eyes, and look from the place where you art, northward and southward and eastward and westward. For all the land which you see, to you will I give it, and to your seed forever. And I will make your seed as the dust of the earth, so that if a man can number the dust of the earth, then shall your seed also be numbered. Arise, walk through the land in the length of it, and in the breadth of it, for unto you will I give it. And Abram moved his tent, and came and dwelt by the terebinths of Mamre, which are in Hebron, and built there an altar unto the Lord. All right, let's go back up to verse 1. We are continuing in the story of Abram, who will later become Abraham. Yesterday we had the story of this promise. Even we began with that promise that the Lord would make him of a great nation, and the Lord had sent him forth from his father's house. Abram was already becoming an older man. He was 76. I guess at that time it didn't mean as much. But Abram journeyed, and he went into the land of Egypt. And there he will find out, run into some trouble, which he already expected to have, because Sarai is very pleasant to look upon. And we'll find out, we get a little bit of affliction. The Lord makes himself known unto Abram in Egypt by plaguing the Pharaoh. And Pharaoh sends Abram away with much cattle and much stuff that he'd already given. We're going to pick it up here in verse 1. And Abram went up out of Egypt, he and his wife, and all that he had, and Lot with him into the south. So Abram's going to leave Egypt. Egypt's that place of crypts, the place of graves. He and his wife. He's taken his wife with him and all that he had. Lot, that's his nephew, with him into the south. And we've been over. Abram means the exalted father. Lot's going to mean that covering, or the veil, something that hides or covers up. And they journey into the south. South's always that dry place. It's the place I refer to as a witness to. And Abram was very rich in cattle and silver and in gold. So Abram had much substance. He had already acquired much from the Pharaoh, or that great house, when he was in Egypt. He didn't have a whole lot before he went there, because the famine is what drove him there. 3. And he went on his journey from the south, even to Bethel, unto the place where his tent had been in the beginning, between Bethel and Ai. And he went on his journey from the south, kept on from there where he had went after he left Egypt, even to Bethel. He returned to that place where he was before, unto where he had his tent in the beginning, before he went to Egypt. And Bethel means that house of the mighty one, between Bethel and Ai. We remember that's where he had his tent in the last chapter. That's between that house of the mighty one and Ai. Ai is the place of ruin. 4. And unto the place of the altar which he had made there at the first. And Abram called there on the name of the Lord. And that's that altar he had made there, the first altar where he had called upon the name of the Lord. 5. And Lot also, who went with Abram, had flocks and herds and tents. And this is, we're going to find out, is what's going to lead to the conflict, a little bit of conflict here. And Lot, he had flocks and herds, and he had tents too. And we'll find the plural of these abodes, because he had servants and people who tended over his stuff. They were herdsmen. 6. And the land was not able to bear them, that they might dwell together, for their substance was great, so that they could not dwell together. So they had more than they could take care of, and they also, their servants were having trouble taking care of all the substance that they both had. And there was a little more trouble, as we'll see, than they could bear, and they had to separate 7. And there was a strife between the herdmen of Abram's cattle and the herdmen of Lot's cattle, and the Canaanite and the Perizzite dwelt in the land. And there was a little bit of trouble between these herdsmen, these tenders over the cattle, or the flocks, you might say, of Lot and Abram. And we'll see, as well as those troubles that was going on, there was also the Canaanite and the Perizzite that dwelt in the land. The Canaanite are those from Canaan, and they are those of humility, those that are humbled, those that live in the land of Canaan. And the Perizzite are those that live out in the open land. They live out openly, not in the cities or walled places. You might see they live free. Peretz is to be the outside that opening. 8. And Abram said unto Lot, Let there be no strife, I pray you, between me and you, and between my herdmen and your herdmen, for we are brethren. And Abram said to Lot, I don't want no trouble. No, there shouldn't be any strife between our herdmen, for we are brethren. We are of, and this brethren here is ach, means relative. You are my relation. You are my brethren, brother, so to speak, and brother is one who has the same understanding. 9. Is not the whole land before you? Separate yourself, I pray you, from me. If you will take the left hand, I will go to the right. If you will take the right hand, then I will go to the left. And this right here is to give somebody else the choice, is to, that's a show of humility, because if you make the choice, you should be willing to live. But with the choice you make, you should be happy with it, because the other person is really left with no choice, and they are going to be happy with their portion. 10. And Lot lifted up his eyes and beheld all the plain of the Jordan, that it was well watered everywhere before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, like the garden of the Lord, like the land of Egypt, as you goest unto Zoar. And Lot makes his choice. He lifts up his eyes. He looks toward, and behold, all the plain of the Jordan. This is all that there's land that's east of the Jordan. Jordan's that river that descends, and that's what divided the land at that time. These waters that descend, and he takes that way of the east. There's a plain over there, a fertile valley, a rich valley. It was well watered everywhere. It was all about, and he takes the best part. We'll find that Lot does, and this land's compared to that land that was like Sodom and Gomorrah before the Lord destroyed it. This is prior to the destruction of Sodom, is that parched place or that burnt place that was destroyed by the fire, and Gomorrah was that place that was wholly submerged or done away with. Like the garden of the Lord, even like this garden of the Lord, it was compared to in its beauty, like the land of Egypt. Egypt's that land of crips and snares, but this portion that goes up towards Zoar, which is, Zoar means insignificant, so it's really not important, or it's very small. 11. So Lot chose him all the plain of Jordan, and Lot journeyed east, and they separated themselves the one from the other. So they make their division. Lot goes towards the east. He takes the plain on the other side of the river, and that's where they separated themselves one from another. 12. Now Abram dwelt in the land of Canaan, and Lot dwelt in the cities of the plain, and moved his tent as far as Sodom. So Abram's going to live over in the land of Canaan, that land of humility, the land of humbleness. As we'll see, he took that portion he was left with, and Lot dwelt in the cities of the plain. The plain here is Kikar, and it refers to a portion of land on the other side of the Jordan. And he moved his tent as far as Sodom. Sodom was that tent, that place that the Lord's going to destroy. He hasn't done it yet in this place, but we see the writer did make reference to that period that this was written after Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed. 13. Now the men of Sodom were wicked, and the sinners against the Lord exceedingly. Now the men of Sodom were wicked, as we're going to learn later on. Sinners against the Lord exceedingly. Sinners, because sin had been exposed. Sin was known in the earth. The law wasn't yet. We don't have it written in the context, but these basic lessons were already understood. We'll get to the point where finally we just got to write it down because nobody's doing it. 14. And the Lord said unto Abram, after that, Lot was separated from him. Lift up now your eyes and look from this place where you are, northward and southward and eastward and westward. And the Lord said unto Abram, Abram's that exalted father, or the father's exalted, this is after Lot was separated from him. Lift up now your eyes and look from this place. Look northward, southward, eastward, and westward, every which way. All four directions we'll find out. This is and kind of inclusive to say, look even forward from here. For all the land, 15, which you see, will I give it, and to your seed forever. Because this is a promise. It's like a future promise. So in the four directions, we get that comes with it, that futuristic promise that the Lord is going to give him all this land because he humbled himself and Lot took the goodly portion. 16. And I will make your seed as the dust of the earth, so that if a man can number the dust of the earth, then shall your seed also be numbered. And as well as this promise of the land, we have this promise of many children, this great nation of people, this seed that is numbered like the dust of the earth. Also, the land as well, because they'll need a place to live. 17. Arise, walk through the land in the length of it and in the breadth of it, for unto you will I give it. Arise, walk through the land. In other words, go through it from one end to the other. Both directions will find the length. The length's going to determine it, or kind of makes it final. You survey that. You walk the length of what you have acquired, and the breadth of it, well, it's going to determine it has use when you walk through it, for unto you will I give it. And it's what it was going to be for them to dwell upon or walk through, inhabit. 18. And Abraham moved his tent and came and dwelt by the terebinths of Mamre, which are in Hebron, and built there an altar unto the Lord. So Abram moves his tent. He figures he can go dwell anywhere within that area, since he has those abilities. And he came and dwelt by these terebinths. Well, terebinths is going to be a grove of large trees, most likely, of Mamre. Mamre is strength, vigor, and because it was a good area, and they had large trees, it's going to be a fertile place, which are in Hebron. Hebron is that association, or that place of association. And he built there an altar unto the Lord. So he's going to build there as well another altar to the Lord. Altar is just simply a place to slay, a place to slaughter. We're going to move forward to Genesis chapter 14. Turn and return.